Here I am sitting at my desk in the study, and I'm reading the May Online Life and Work. You know, like many folk over the last few weeks when we haven't been able to do the things that we would normally do, and I haven't been able to get out and about, I've had a bit more time to do things that quite honestly I would rather not do. Those kinds of things that I tend to put off. And I have to admit that one of the things I do put off is tidying up the study. Mind you, if I kept it tidy to begin with, I wouldn't have to spend time tidying it. But over the last few weeks, I have spent some time tidying up. And do you know something? It's amazing what you find when you start tidying up. And I found something, or I should say someone, that I'd completely forgotten about. And you can see her sitting on the desk there. It's Myrtle Mouse. And today, Myrtle's going to help me tell you the story. But before we get to the story, let me introduce Myrtle to you properly. You know, Myrtle lives in my study, and here she is. She's on one of the bookcase shelves, where you can see just exactly what I'm doing, looking down at me from the high bookcase shelf while I'm sitting at my desk. But she doesn't live there all on her own. She has some friends. And here's Myrtle with her friends. She shares the bookcase shelf with Shaun the sheep. And she also has another little lamb friend just sitting there just right beside her, little Lammy. And then she has two little ducks, and they also are the friends with whom she shares her shelf and the bookcase. She likes being there with her friends. It's good to have friends and to be able to share things and to do things together with your friends. Now here's Myrtle sitting on the desk just looking at the computer screen, and you know what she's waiting for? She's waiting for the West Aberdeen churches to begin their Sunday service. And like many folk, she really likes listening to the stories of Myrtle Mouse. She feels that he could be a really good friend to her, another mouse with whom she could share her friendship. That would be absolutely great. So here she is. Here's Myrtle, watching Mitchell, waiting for the story that Mitchell and Shuna are going to tell. She really likes listening to those stories. And this morning, we're going to tell you a story, aren't we, Myrtle? And we're going to tell you a story about a journey that some friends of Jesus made and what happened to them when they were on the road. So let's get ready, Myrtle. Okay, Myrtle, that's us just about ready to begin. We've got the book open at the right place to tell today's story. And if you're sitting comfortably, then we can begin the story of two friends making their way home one evening. On the road to Emmaus, a story from Luke's Gospel. Here's the road from Jerusalem to Emmaus. And the story took place on this road on the same day when the disciples had gone to Jesus' tomb and found that it was empty. So let's hear what happened. Two friends were walking home along the road to Emmaus, and they were feeling very sad. While they had been in Jerusalem, they had seen their friend Jesus die on the cross. The two men and the other friends of Jesus had thought that Jesus was God's promised son. But now they were wondering just what had happened, because some of Jesus' friends had said that Jesus had risen from the dead. And so the two men, as they walked along the road, were talking about all the things that they had seen and heard in the past few days. And they wondered just exactly what was happening. While they were talking about all of this, a stranger came up, and he began to walk along with them. "Why are you so sad?" he asked. "All these things you're talking about are written in the Bible." As they walked along, the stranger told them how everything that had happened to Jesus was part of God's plan. His words gave them hope, and they began to wonder if what they'd heard was true after all, and that Jesus really had risen from the dead. When they got back home, they invited the stranger to come in and join them for a meal. And once everything was ready and they'd sat down to eat, the stranger took the bread. He broke it, he thanked God for it, and he shared it with them. It was then that they recognized who the stranger was. It was Jesus. It really was true. He had risen from the dead. And then, all of a sudden, he just disappeared. They just got up and they ran straight back to Jerusalem as fast as they could go, so that they could tell Jesus' friends that it was true, that they had seen Jesus, that he really had risen from the dead, and that he told them that everything about him was written in the Bible. It was amazing. It was wonderful. It was absolutely brilliant news. Myrtle enjoyed that story. She liked it that the two friends were no longer sad because they had seen Jesus. She thought it was wonderful that Jesus, their friend, had gone to see them and to help them and to reassure them so that they wouldn't be sad anymore. And she likes that Jesus is her friend and that he can reassure her and make her feel better when she feels sad and unhappy. Well, it's time for Myrtle to say goodbye for now. So here she is, back up on her shelf, beside her friends. She hopes that one day she might be able to meet up with Mitchell, and that they'll be able to hear a story together, along with Stuart. Well, you never know. Someday that may just happen. So keep watching and find out.